everyone. Welcome to a Court of Books and Booze, our basement book club. I am Skyler. Don't look at me like that, Jessica.
Better
not-
known
I'm
as
not gonna say it this week.
the
'cause
Skywalker.
We'll say it for you.
You
It's
make
okay.
me sad every week by the way you look at me before I say it. Sitting with me is my beautiful wife, Jessica,
Hey.
and our very best friend, Amanda.
Hello, hello.
They're so excited, can't you tell?
Whoop whoop.
And together we are going to summarize the current book that we have all been separately reading. And we are going to dive into a discussion on all the questions and hypotheses that have plagued us through our journeys. And most of the time we're going to drink. I don't think any of us are drinking tonight though, so.
No, we've got the little prequel we're reading. I think we're all just going easy on the drinks tonight.
Yeah, because we put a pause on the story that we've been going through, and now let's go back to the beginning and just pause all the exciting stuff that you're supposed to be reading, and you're on the tip of a hill waiting to figure out what happens. That's how I feel.
Had to do a little backtrack here.
It's okay. It's okay.
Well, in not true fashion, we are going to change the way we run this episode a little bit. Since this book was in sections, we're going to summarize each section and then have a discussion, and then at the end give our overall thoughts about the book, which I'm itching to get to.
So we are currently finished reading The Assassin's Blade, which is a prequel combination of novellas of the Throne of Glass series that we have been reading. We decided to throw the prequel in the middle of the series because we are reading in the romantic order as opposed to the chronological order. And we'll go into our thoughts on that now that we've finished reading the prequel as we go through this. Okay, so this prequel contains crucial information about Selena's life before and leading up to Endovier. The book contains 5 prequel novellas that are The Assassin and the Pirate Lord, The Assassin and the Healer, The Assassin in the Desert, The Assassin and the Underworld, and The Assassin and the Empire. I think we're going to be going through these one at a time, like Skyler said, as opposed to the entire book like we usually do, just because the stories are related but fairly separated from each other. So, the first in the set is The Assassin and the Pirate Lord. And to go over this first novella, Arobin calls a meeting to inform his assassins that Ben, the second in command, has been murdered. Selena doesn't take the news well and goes to retrieve Ben's body on her own because no one else was willing to attempt to. Not long after this announcement, Selena and Sam are sent on a secret mission to Skulls Bay in pirate territory. They don't know the reason that they're going until they get there, and then they discover that Arobin is buying slaves from the pirate lord, Captain Rolfe. He wants Selena and Sam to transport them back to Rifthold, and Selena is disgusted and makes a plan to break up the deal. She tells Rolfe that she wants to inspect the slaves to make sure that they are good enough, though actually she wants to check out all the surroundings and what's going on. First, Rolfe takes them to see another group of 100 slaves to show how the inspection goes, and afterwards Selena gets so angry, and Sam knows she's up to something, so he finally drags it out of her and he agrees to help in her plans. They end up getting all the pirates in town drunk and then start a brawl at the tavern in hopes to cause a major distraction while they lower the chain in the bay and let the slaves sail free. The plan goes somewhat awry, and for a while Selena even thinks Sam has died doing his part, but they end up disrupting their original plan and the slaves sail away to their freedom. Selena and Sam start off seemingly against each other and arguing as they always do, but end up being reluctant friends by the end of this adventure together.
Oh yeah, I forget that's all that happened in the first
Yeah,
one.
these are very short little novellas in this book.
And about, I think the longest one was 14 chapters. The shortest one was 10.
Yeah.
Not a hot opening to the book, guys. It was slow. And I mean, I understand why it's there because we're trying to get this development between Selena and Sam.
And
But-
Arabin.
Yeah, and Arabin. But oh my goodness, it was a tough 10 chapters.
Sky struggled getting through this. How was it for you, Amanda?
I feel like the same. I understood why it was there, because you're getting the feel about, how Sam and Selena grew up, how they've always just been super competitive and seen each other that way as competitors their entire life, because Selena's always been the prodigy and Sam has always been kind of in the shadow and
Always running number 2.
yeah, and just how they treat each other, but then forced to work together. And then it kind of raised a suspicion because when they get there and they weren't quite sure why they were sent there in the first place, and then to find out that their boss is trying to do this slave contract with this pirate lord, and they're just like, what the heck is going on there? I mean, it raises suspicion with him, which you get more into later on, but it was really slow and it was hard, like until like the end when everything finally like breaks loose and they do end up freeing the slaves. That was the most interesting part, and I think that lasted like 2 chapters.
Oh yeah, the last 2 chapters were
They were great.
fantastic.
Yeah, but
It was just a lot of slow build up, slow going through the motions of getting background on like what's going on, but I didn't really find it that interesting.
I love political dramas, right? I don't know why, I just find them fascinating.
yeah, it's weird.
My brother does too. And I feel like that's what she was trying to do with the first half of this section, was make it more of like the kind of the background and how this is dealt with in Adderlin and what is it, Skulls Bay.
Yeah.
But my goodness, it was just not fantastic. The last 2 chapters were really good.
Once they started their plan
Right.
Yeah.
of
I don't
things.
know.
Selena dealing with Rolf at the end of it. I love that whole bit where she's like, "Oh, I'll come back and kill you if I ever hear that you're trading slaves again." And he's like, "Okay, I'm done."
Yeah, so they opened a tab at the tavern, got everybody drunk, pretended to be drunk themselves, assumed Captain Rolf was drunk, and then when they dipped out, found out he wasn't either because he was following them. Then she got in a fight with him then at that point, yeah. Yeah. And she kicked his ass.
I think it was I say that was one part I did like. It was a really nice balance of like, hey, straight up like, I'm gonna kill you, you deserve it, you're doing all this crappy things to people, and I'm not afraid to literally slit your throat. But then on the other hand, she's also freeing 200 slaves.
Yeah.
So I think it was like a nice like, you know what? They don't deserve this, but you do. So
Balance
here
of
we
priorities.
are. Yeah, But I think it was a good look leading, especially with the books that we've read like thus far, like a good start of, where she kind of really hit, which I'm sure that there was circumstances before, because, we're only like, maybe a year before she gets captured and goes to Endovier? Maybe. I don't even think it's been that long where this all starts, right?
I think it is.
I think it's exactly a year.
Yeah, okay. So I'm sure there's been incidents before where she's chosen to take the better path versus... But who knows? We don't know.
I would have liked this book to start out not humanizing her as much. I would have liked to see Adderley's assassin.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the brutal.
Like how she got her name.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And now, you know, the beginning of this whole book is just humanizing her, which is fine. I mean, you know,
but I
she's
thought
the main character of the story, but...
But I thought that we would see a little bit more of that.
Right.
With this being the prequel than what we did. Because it was straight off like, oh no, I'm going to free these 200 people because they literally did nothing wrong.
The issue is the book is literally called The Assassin's Blade.
Yeah.
Where's the blade, man?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it would start much sooner than a year prior to Endovier.
I literally was thinking like as soon as he picked her up off the riverbank.
Yeah, so was I.
I really like, and even if they did multiple time jumps, I thought it was going to be something similar to that.
Yeah, I did too. So that was a little disappointing. But yeah, so overall, not a strong start to the book, as far as like holding interest or being as epic as the rest of the series so far. Yeah.
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 It is alright.
Are we rating each individual novella, or are we just rating the book as a whole?
I'm okay either way. I've come up with my rating for the book as a whole, but now I'm gonna like if you want to do them separately, we can.
It's up to you guys. I was just asking.
I mean, technically they're separate novellas, just packaged together.
Right.
I don't care.
That's true.
We'll just do the book as a whole.
Okay.
Just know that this section was not
It
not
was not
fantastic.
I know, because I keep thinking like, man, I'm going to give this section such a low rating if we do that, but it kind of...
But that's okay.
That's okay.
Whatever your opinion is, it is valid.
This is not my favorite book. I will say that.
Oh, God.
Anyway, moving on.
Yeah. We'll go through
we'll
that
get
at
to
the
that.
very end.
Yeah.
Moving on.
As we go through the book as a whole.
Okay.
All right, on to the second novella, which is called The Assassin and the Healer. At this point, Selena is staying at a hotel in Inish, a dingy port town, on her way to the Red Desert, which is where she is being forced to spend the summer training as punishment. Arabin was furious that she freed the slaves at Skulls Bay, so he beat her to an absolute pulp as Sam watched, and then told her she would go find the silent assassins in the desert. She was to get a letter of approval from the Mute Master, the leader of the silent assassins, or there would be hell to pay. In the inn, there is a barmaid named Irene Towers. When Irene is taking out the trash, she is ambushed by several men. Selena, who was just ready for any fight at this point, took them all down easily, but one ended up escaping. She decides to teach Irene some basic self-defense, which goes surprisingly well in practice. This is good because only a few hours later, the escaped thief brings back more friends. Selena pretends to be helpless when Irene is held at knife point, and Irene uses the move Selena taught her to disarm the man. Selena ends up revealing that she wanted Irene to practice in a controlled environment and wasn't really helpless herself. Irene tends to Selena's wounds, and it is revealed that she wants to learn to be a healer at a prestigious school. However, Irene has been working here for a year because she cannot save enough money to get out of the city. That night, before Selena boards her ship that will take her to the Red Desert, she leaves Irene a bag of gold and a ruby pin and a note telling her to pursue her dreams, which Irene finally decides to do. I believe this was the shortest section of the book, if I'm correct.
I thought this one was 10 chapters. I could be wrong. I don't remember.
Not a fan. I thought it was filler. Not my favorite thing.
I like this section. I think it sets up for some interesting things that could possibly be coming in the future books, because we know, or we assume at the end of this, Irene's left to go to the school
Corey
for...
Chesme?
There
Is that
you
what it
go.
is?
That's what it was, yeah. So who's saying that she's not going to show back up soon?
That is a possibility. I don't know. I didn't really have a lot of thoughts on this one. It was so short to me that I'm kind of with you, Amanda. I think it was just like filler. It's like
I didn't see. Yeah, I can see her coming back. Sure. Why not? I was just, I don't know. I was just like, I just don't understand like the point of the story. Like,
yeah,
she did a thing that I knew she was gonna do. She was gonna give her the money to send her off because I think that like the one part I did like about that is she did mention that, well, maybe I gave her the money because I wanted her to have the life that I didn't have the choice to have, which I did like that. Like that whole recognition process and seeing herself in another person because she didn't get the choice of how she grew up and doing what she wanted to do occupation wise and things like that. And I did think she felt bad for her because she came from a land, this girl came from a land that, you know, was full of healers and magic, and she was also part of that group where the king came in and everything vanished, and now she doesn't have those things, and so she was affected by it too, which I think added a layer of empathy between that relationship. But other than that, I was just kind of like, I didn't see how it portrayed to any part of the plot or character development.
yeah. I'm kind of right there because while it definitely was not our favorite, the Pirate Lord section, I can see where that aided in the plot of this set of novellas. I don't see a point to this one at all. I don't see where
Other than her being a nice person.
it just seemed, yeah, I didn't feel like it wasn't getting us further along in any direction. I don't think it was meeting anybody that's going to be super influential in the future. It wasn't, I don't think, having read, the rest of the novellas, that it was anything that benefited the remainder of the book. Yeah. I mean, it was a little feel good at some points,
Right.
but what else was the point?
Well, one, we get to see Selena is a total badass because she takes down what was the initial one? Was it 4 guys?
Right, but tell me something I don't know.
But it's something we haven't really seen up to this point.
Beg to differ.
Keep in mind, if people are reading in the chronological order, they would not have seen that yet at
That
this
is
point.
true. But knowing what I know with what we have,
Yes.
I'm just like, do we remember when Kale got captured? And she went
That's
batshit
fair.
crazy? I'm just saying, because we
Yes.
have seen her go apeshit before.
Well, and just like they could have cut this whole part out and not had this section, and we still would have ended up seeing that in the future if this had been the first thing we read.
This is going to sound weird coming from my mouth. Call me optimistic about this section. I enjoyed it. Maybe it's because I disliked the assassin and the pirate lord just so much that this was kind of that nice reprieve, and I was like, oh yeah, now this is the way to humanize the assassin, is have her show some empathy and
Give people money.
yeah. But I mean, like Jess said, she's like, I'm gonna give this girl a chance to go do the things that I couldn't do because that choice was forcefully taken from me. So why don't I give her this and let her make her choice by herself? And I enjoyed it. I mean, and like I said, it could very well be because I dislike that first section so much. But
Maybe you were having a really bad day when you read it and you just needed something
That's
happy.
You needed a pick me up.
You need a happy thing.
well, it took me like 4 days to read just that one section. So
And it was
rough
quick.
time.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
I wish we were rating this separately so Amanda and I could rate it really low and you could rate it high and you could know how it feels now.
I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not like a 2.2. It's under a 2, but compared to the Pirate Lord, I enjoyed it. So, yeah. And like I
And
said,
that's
maybe I'm
okay.
just being optimistic and hoping that, this has a bigger impact on the series moving forward.
Yeah.
Because, I thought Irene was an interesting character. Not anything fantastic, but I mean,
To each their own, I guess. I thought she was bland.
Selena's going to have an army going forward from what we know from Air of Fire. And all that stuff. So she needs healers. So there's no reason that we.
Yeah, 'cause she doesn't have any pirate allies, so she at least needs healers.
I don't know.
And I mean,
She's threatened Rolf. Maybe he'll be in her back pocket.
Dude.
But I mean, that is a valid point. That, that's a friend she's got somewhere.
And I don't think she's thinking that. Like, I think that you're right, and that is all going to come, and all like the good due diligence that she has done is going to come, and it's going to pay off in the end, knowing what we know, having read in this order.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that it's just her character, because she's not thinking that way right now, that I'm going to end up
Oh, absolutely.
taking
not.
over.
No.
Right. But I think that you're right, that all like the good things that she is doing for people and sparing people is going to come back in full circle to benefit her wherever the story goes in the end.
Yeah.
So in that sense, I do agree. So I'm sure she will come back in some point.
And I mean, as I'm reading the Assassin's Blade, that's where my mind is at.
Yeah.
Is, where does this affect the story going from Air of Fire on?
Yeah.
Because honestly, I could care less about what happens before Throne of Glass at this point. I'm so involved in the main story and what's going on that I almost just wanted to put this one down and start reading Queen of Shadows.
We're doing this because we have to.
I know. Straight up.
Should have read this one first.
No,
because
no.
Yeah, we'll get into
We'll
it.
discuss that at the end.
Okay.
All right. Are we done with Miss Irene? Okay, our third novella is The Assassin and the Desert. And this picks up a little bit here. So, Arabin commands Selena to earn a letter from the Mute Master, who is the leader of a famous troop of assassins. She's got 1 month to do this. The Mute Master approves her training, and she gets assigned a roommate at their guild named Ansel, a fellow female assassin. Selena desperately wants an audience with the Master, but that is not allowed until he sees fit, so she has to endure normal assassin training at the compound in the meantime. One day, she accompanies Ansel on an errand assigned by the Master, but while Ansel tries to negotiate for peace with Lord Barrick in the city, Selena is left in the Xandria marketplace. Selena comes across a trader selling spider silk, which is an ultra-rare, indestructible material. Normally a small patch costs nearly a fortune, and this trader has yards of it. He offers some to Selena in exchange for her killing the spider who gave him the silk. He says that he bargained 20 years of his life to get all of the yards of spider silk, and the only way to get the years back on his life is to kill the spider. Selena declines, but reveals that she is Aderlin's assassin and says that she will maybe help him some other time in the future. The merchant gives her a small square of the spider silk to remember this by. In addition, she and Ansel steal Asterian mares, which are amazingly fast and expensive horses. Upon return, Selena is surprised to discover that the Master would like to begin training her personally each evening at sunset. Ansel is jealous, and the girls end up arguing, but the next day they both apologize to each other. Ansel's apology wasn't sincere, though, and she poisons Selena's wine. Selena awakes alone in the middle of the desert with a note that says the Master wanted her gone without publicly shaming her. She rides to Xandria to search for a ship to travel home on, when she sees a bunch of Barrick's men marching toward the assassin's compound. Selena rides back, and many are already dead in the attack. Ansel has poisoned the master with a temporary paralytic drug. She was a spy for Barrick, so he will defeat those who killed her family. Ansel sees Selena as a true friend and asks her to join her. Selena refuses, and they fight, and Selena finally gets the upper hand, but decides to let her live. The master gives Selena the letter of recommendation and chests full of gold to pay off her debts to Erebin. He tells her she always has a home there if she ever chooses to leave the north.
And off she goes back to
Rifthold.
the king of all assassins. Air quotes around king.
Yeah, well, don't say that in the Red Desert. Say he's king of the northern assassins.
Yeah. I have a feeling the Mute Master probably kick Erebin.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I like that guy.
Amanda, do you want to start this one?
I saw this coming from a mile away. I just want to say that. Like,
Which part?
as soon as there was like a hint of like, oh, someone might be a traitor, I knew it. I was sus from her from the beginning.
Yes.
Because if this series has taught me anything, don't trust anybody. Don't trust anybody. And she was just, no. She was way too bubbly and way too talkative.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah.
I was definitely on to the roommate from the very beginning.
Yeah. No. But I like this section. I did.
And especially as soon as like they went into the city, for her to have this meeting with Lord Barrick and then was like, no, you can't come in. I'm like, red flag, girl, red flag. Like, there's something going on there. Yeah.
Well, and then when she, as soon as she like, came in to apologize, I was just like, this seems half-assed. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, she poisoned me. I woke up on a horse in the middle of the desert, and I was like, yep, okay, great. So, yep, I figured that was happening. And then when she just like read the letter, and she's like, yeah, he didn't want to shame you in front of everyone. Here's your letter. You should just go. And I was like, why would you not be suspicious? Like, she was, but I was like, why would you not turn around? Because to me, I'm just like, he would seem like a pretty, without any words, pretty stand-up guy. You know, like, literally no words, but.
And knowing Selena and how she is and how headstrong she is and how, like, forward she is about everything, you really think she wouldn't go back and be like, what the fuck? Why are you sending me away? You know what I mean?
Oh,
like,
she's been in, I don't know. I feel like she's always just been super straightforward.
So
yeah.
To just not even look into it was just kind of weird.
I don't know. I might actually disagree with you both here. Because during this whole section, she's like...
common throughout this book.
Wow.
It has. During this whole section, she's like, this is the first time I've been somewhere that feels like I can make this a home. And then she reads a letter that's saying, hey, he's kicking you out. Wouldn't you be a little, like, just shattered at that point and been like, you know what, whatever. I'll just go then.
Like a kicked dog.
Right.
Yeah, there is that too.
But I don't think she's ever displayed any type of those characteristics to where she's just going to put her tail between her legs and go.
But, I mean, this is a different situation because she's like, this place actually feels like it could be my home. Like, I belong here. They make me feel wanted.
It feels
Not like that she feels in Rifthold or anywhere else she's been before this, except maybe Terrasen when she was 9.
But the people feel genuine and she feels comfortable, and
I think it would be real easy for her for the first time to feel kind of down and out.
Rejected.
Right.
Yeah.
Nah, I still disagree.
I still disagree, but I can see where you're coming from. But I enjoyed this one. I enjoyed this section. I was happy to finally get the story on the horses. because I knew it'd be coming at some point.
Yeah.
That did bring
Yeah.
a huge smile on my face during
Yes.
that section.
Yeah.
I was so excited. I was like, we finally get the story.
Yeah.
As soon as they said that they were going to Xandria, I was like, we get the horse
Right.
story.
And it was fantastic.
Yeah.
Yes, the description of them, like, riding through the canyons. And,
Yep.
oh, I enjoyed that. I definitely enjoyed that.
I enjoyed the Spider Silk Merchant, that whole back and forth between the two,
Yeah.
and how he's just he picked up on everything with like the drop of a needle. It was crazy. And then he just like, "Oh, here." And he gives her the little patch of spider silk. He just gave her like a billion cold.
Yeah. And I really like the end of it too. Like how she decided, like, I'm going to give you some grace because I don't think that this is really what you want to do. I don't know.
Yeah.
To me, it displayed more of her character too. Like, let's further on of,
And this comes back into what I was saying before. I mean, this is coming from Selena, who doesn't feel like she has a home, doesn't feel like she has friends. The first person she's like, I've never connected with somebody like I've connected with this girl before. Do I really want to kill her?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so she gave her 20 minutes to get out of there and then didn't fire her arrow until 21 minutes. Aw. I will be back on the spider silk thing. I'm going to be real curious to see if that ends up going anywhere at some point. The reminder of getting back in touch to kill that spider. Because I feel like, she's going to have an interaction with these, Stygian spiders at some point.
Yeah.
So, I'm really curious if that'll tie back in.
Do we think Manon killed the spider?
Oh, shit.
Because
Was it that spider though? Do you think it was that spider?
we don't know a lot about these spiders. We just know that Manon pushed one off a cliff.
On a similar thread.
Huh.
That
was good.
Pun. I believe at some point Ansel mentions the Wace and mentions a red-haired leader.
Yep.
Which is someone also mentioned as the Queen of the Wastes now, a red-haired queen in Heir of Fire that we read before this. So I
picked up on that too.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I gotta know more about who this is, because we know nothing about her, but she's obviously tied in very stealthily as this goes on.
Mm-hmm.
We assume it's an Iron Teeth, right?
We don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. They don't. It's brief instances that she's mentioned, but I think it's like the third time now that this red-haired person in the Wastes is mentioned. So something's gonna be going on with that, and I'm real curious to see what it is. But I liked that there are small ties into the main series in this particular section. I feel like this section was, crucial to the prequel as opposed to the one with Irene that we just went through.
Well, and it's brought up throughout the first 3 books, though, too, right? I mean, she mentions going to the Red Desert multiple times and training with silent assassins.
Mm-hmm.
So even though I knew nothing was going to happen, I was totally rooting for the Mute Master's son.
Oh my gosh. Is it Ilias?
Ilias? That
Yeah.
sounds
Who, definitely was a fan of Selena's.
Well, who's not? And honestly, I feel like every male encounter she has, it's like, it's either like you're super bad and controlling and want to own everything, or, you're like the next one down and you find her attractive. I just say that one of my favorite parts of this section was at the end when the mute master is actually talking to her and like
Yes.
like explaining all these things, and he like gives her the letter and then gives her like the gold for saving his life, and he goes, I want you to take this back to your master and tell him that we do not take advantage of our disciples. And I was like, yes. I was I was so proud of that statement because she was just like, you know what, you're right, he treats me like garbage and I just let him do it. Granted, like we will find out later how that goes and how back and forth that is, but still it was.
Yeah.
But he gave her like that confidence of like, we don't do that. He
Here in the
forced
Silent
you.
Assassins, we
Yeah.
don't abuse our.
Yeah, he forced you into this debt that you have by any means can't repay, because even the contract she is taking, he's still getting most of it because he's the one getting her the jobs. Yeah, I thought it was so nicely put. We don't abuse our disciples.
When I was reading this section, I looked at Jess. I was like, "Oh, he's talking to her."
He did. He looked at me and he's like, oh, he's talking.
I thought it was I like this section. I thought it was good. I mean,
And that was funny too because he's like, I never said I was gonna be mute forever. Everybody just assumed that, but I never said that.
Well, then I love how he's just like, and then sometimes I forget that I actually can talk.
Yeah, I'm glad that.
It's a nice little comedic break. I really like that. Yeah, this is, up until this point, this is my favorite part. Going forward. It does get better, but yes, I really like this section.
Does it?
Well, there's certain parts I liked.
Well, Jessica, let's move on to the underworld.
Okay, so on to the fourth novella, The Assassin and the Underworld. Arabin supposedly regrets beating Selena and sending her to the Red Desert once she returns. He apologizes and showers her with gifts, including a fancy suit with knives embedded in the sleeves. Selena gives the tailor the spider silk from the Red Desert, telling him to put it in a place to guard the heart of the suit, but not her own. Instead, she puts this in Sam's, which we don't find out until a little bit later. Instead, she gives it to Sam. Yeah, and it ends up saving his life later on. Arabin also gives her a job opportunity. An envoy is coming from Melisande?
Sure.
Yeah? I don't know. You're the one with the pronunciations over here.
I read most of this, not the audio book, so yes.
Didn't even audiobook this one up. An envoy is coming to establish trade networks, and the leader, Leifer, is employing Selena to kill her ex-husband, Donoval. Supposedly, he has a list of people opposed to slave trade and plans to blackmail them in order for them to change their vote. Meanwhile, Selena realizes she doesn't hate Sam. Things are tense at first because of Lysandra, a courtesan who's been latching onto Sam. Selena denies it, but she is jealous. However, her jealousy is unfounded because Sam still continues to be very kind to her despite her attitude. And Selena denies it, but she is jealous. Meanwhile, Selena scouts Donoval and kills him. She burns the list he has, but one of his associates says that she is mistaken and that Donoval loves his country. Arabin then laughs at Selena, mocking her for not figuring out the truth. Donoval's documents actually showed safe houses for the slaves. He was against the slave trade, and Leifer was for it. She had been tricked. This was the last straw for Selena. She then pays off her debt to Arabin with gold from the Mute Master and buys an apartment and moves out. Sam confesses his feelings, and Selena finds that she may feel the same way about him. She sells her Asterian mare for a small fortune and then pays off Sam's debt to Arabin as well, and he moves in with her.
Talk about a disappointing section of this book. I So we know from the beginning that Donald is not the bad guy. Donville, however you say his name, was not the bad guy, right? It's pretty easy to assume that Arabin is tricking Selena into taking care of this guy because we know he's still super mad about this whole Skull Bay.
Well, that's what I was thinking from the beginning because I was like, he's so pissed off at her that he almost like beats her to death, right? Sends
Yeah.
her off to the desert, and then all of a sudden she comes back and he's like, you know what? I feel really bad about that. Let me give you all these gifts. And I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah.
I was so suspicious from him from the get go because I was like, there's no way that this is just going to be that easy. I'm going to give you all these gifts, all these very expensive gifts. Granted, she has a very high taste anyway, but I was like, there's no way that this is just going to get blown off. Like, you literally cost him so much money, disobeyed everything he told you to do, and a guy that likes that much control, there's no way. So, like you said, I didn't think he was telling her the truth from the beginning. I thought, yeah, it was. There's no way that this guy is going to be the traitor or whatever, slave, whatever that he is being meant to be. So I was on the same page.
This is the first time in all 4 books that I am just disappointed in the main character. Because I mean, I think through it all, it's right there in her face that maybe you should read between the lines and look a little bit more into this guy, and she just doesn't. Maybe it's because everything that's going on with Sam, and she's but she's a trained assassin. You would think that part of getting these contracts to go and kill somebody is you learn about them, you get to know them on a more personal level. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Yes. Keep in mind, though, she is a 17-year-old child. There is still, she still is that.
Well, and I was thinking too because we have read 3 other books already before this where we've seen her go really deep into her investigation before she acts on things. Like maybe this is why she does that now because she didn't this time and it did not end the way she was expecting it to, where she killed someone who was essentially trying to do the same thing that she was doing. And so that's in my head, I was like, well, maybe that's why she does go deeper, in books that are in the future, where she takes more time to learn about who their acquaintances are and what they do every day. And I don't know.
Yeah.
But I see both sides.
Yeah.
So.
I think the only good thing to really come out of this section is we finally get the build up to the relationship between Selena and Sam.
So cute.
Still not buying into it that well though. And this was a hot point of contention between me and Jess the other day was we have this great build up in relationship between Selena and Kale in Throne of Glass and Crown of Midnight.
You hate that relationship.
I do. I'm not a huge fan of it.
He said that too. He's like, despite me not liking that, it's believable.
And this just feels so
Forced.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which definitely we can talk about that a little more in depth at the end.
Oh,
For sure.
I got things to say.
Yeah,
I want to say them now.
Yeah. I won't speak as a relationship as a whole because we can talk about that at the end. But yeah, I think that there was I didn't want their relationship to go there. I just wanted them to have respect for each other because she has always treated him like dirt up until Skulls Bay.
Yeah.
Which is the first time she actually saw him as almost an
human.
equal. Yeah, like an equal. Okay, yeah, we're both assassins. We can both do our job. And when we work together, we're even better at our job. But I didn't want it to go that far. It did. It is what it is. But because we read it in this order, I wanted the relationship to be so much better because there was so much buildup on it.
Yeah.
And yeah, so anyway, that's the relationship as a whole that I said I wasn't going to get to. But I think that this section showed Arabin's true colors. Like, you can't trust the guy.
He just gaslighting her the whole
Yeah.
section.
Yes.
Like, you can't. And I feel like she was so torn. I was talking about this in the previous section. She's so torn between, I know I need to cut ties with whatever this relationship is, which, by the way, he's creepy as fuck.
And she doesn't even know what the relationship is. At
Exactly.
one point, she says, what? Friend, brother, lover? Who knows?
Father, who knows? Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And so I think she's so tied between, this is not good. Like, everything he does is just so manipulative, and he just uses me for his own gain. But then this is also the man that took her in when she was near death, and it's like the strongest relationship that she's had since she was 9 when her whole family died and all of that. And so cutting that is completely terrifying, which is why think it took her so long. And she's fighting with Sam half the time when he's like, look what he's done to you. And she's like, well, and he's like, but you're just willing to forgive him. He buys you one pretty thing and you just forget everything. And she's like, well, let me make an excuse number 999 about why he's not that bad of a guy.
And then by the end of the book, he's just being like an absolute prick, just outwardly, with the whole Lysandra thing.
That
Like,
was such a low blow.
low blow and gross. And
I mean, gross is a good word for it.
I'm interested where this is going.
yes.
I didn't hate this end section of this part where, Arabin's finally starting to kind of show his true colors towards Selena. I thought it was extremely well written. The relationship between him and Lysandra is obviously not.
Do they ever say how old she is?
Yeah, she just turned 18.
Okay.
Yeah, because she couldn't have her bidding until she turned 18.
But I like the fact that he went in with the low blow and he's like, oh yeah, all that money you just gave me, I used it on her bidding, so thanks.
It was definitely like that was smart of the author to have that as the way of doing things, but it doesn't make it less shitty and less gross.
He's the ultimate, as Roy would say, Giga Chad.
Oh my god, can you not? Well, and then to like have, her accompany him to the theater on like Selena's favorite performance of the year, and like I don't know. It was just real shitty. I mean, it was needed. It was needed for
He's a bad
showing
dude.
his
Yeah.
character development.
Yeah, he's
even
Not a great guy.
There's definitely character development negatively, but
Just all in all,
it did what it needed to do. But it doesn't mean I liked it.
I just did not like this section. This was the hardest section of this book for me to read.
And it was pretty long.
It was boring.
The beginning was super boring, and honestly, I got a bit confused in the whole Leaford Donoval, like
What's
Like,
let's learn
what-
some names, guys.
yeah, like what was going on. I got a bit confused in there. I mean, I got it figured out, after a while, but I got a little confused and turned around.
What was his
In that
main guard's
section.
name? Was it Patrick?
Something like
Yeah.
yeah. Actually, I think no, it was Philip.
It was Philip,
It was
yeah.
Philip.
Yeah. So basic.
Oh, what'd you guys think of that masquerade party?
Oh, she was totally dancing with Dorian, wasn't she?
That's what I thought.
Okay, so everybody realized that but me. I
Well-
was like making my notes and doing a little bit of research and getting this all set up, and I'm seeing like bits of people realizing this, and I'm like, what the fuck? I didn't realize this at all. How did I miss this? So I couldn't wait to bring this up to see if you guys noticed it, because I was like, well, man, I was clueless.
Yes, but she made a comment that anybody who was there, unless you were in like they worked for the palace or they were part of the royal court. But then she's like, but then I think I did see some people that that were from the court that were mingling around or whatever. And then as soon as like he starts talking to her, and I was like, this sounds so familiar. Like the speech is so similar. But then I was like, but wouldn't more people realize if it was Prince Dorian? So I wasn't sure.
It's a masquerade ball, though. I mean, he's
Yeah.
got,
You're
got a
right.
mask.
You're right.
Oh, my
I
mind
wish
went.
I would have realized this at the time. I think it would have made it like 10 times better.
Yeah.
But no, I didn't realize it until I'm doing my notes for this
Well, and
episode.
then, like,
and I'm like, wait,
Yeah.
what did I miss?
Well, and then the wink at the end, I was like, okay, I think that's him, but I'm not positive. But yeah, that's what I thought.
Well, they even say something like, "There's a guard standing in the background."
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So that was like,
Which would have
that's
been Kale.
Totally Dorian. And I'm all for it.
God, I'm so mad I missed that. I'm so mad. That would have made things
So
better.
funny.
Well, I'm glad you guys got that little tidbit there. Ugh. Jeez.
One more section. You ready?
I guess.
All right, into the fifth and final novella of The Assassin's Blade. This one is The Assassin and the Empire. Selena sneaks into the Royal Theatre to watch the symphony. She watches from the rafters and sees Arabin has brought Lysandra with him this year. She leaves early but discovers Sam's not home and is mad because she assumes that he's fighting at the vaults to win some money for them. She goes, ends up finding him there, and they argue. He says that they need the money, but Selena doesn't want him to earn it that way, and Sam tries to convince her to move away. They go to Arabin's house to tell him that they're leaving. She offers to pay their way out of the guild, and Arabin counter-offers, asking for an insane amount of money, to which she agrees to. They need a big contract to have enough money to leave, and Sam finds one, which is a nearly impossible kill. A local crime lord named Jane and his right-hand man, Farron. Selena reluctantly agrees to help, even though she does not think that this is a good idea. They decide to take Farron out first, and Sam wants to make this kill. They argue, but eventually Selena gives in. One night, Selena finds Arabin in her living room when she gets home. He tells her he knows who they're trying to take out and says that it's a dumb move. He tells her he loves her and asks her to stay in Rifthold with him, to which she refuses. As they plot this kill, Sam books passage on to the southern continent for them. He decides to do this after seeing Arabin, who told him to ask Selena about her life before Rifthold. Selena is restless and watching the clock while waiting for Sam to get home from the Farron kill. She heads out to look for him multiple times but doesn't find him. She barely sleeps, and she searches again the next morning and finds Arabin in her apartment, and he tells her that Sam is dead. She is struck with grief and wants to see Sam's body, to which Arabin refuses, but she leaves to do that anyway. Arabin leads her to Sam when they arrive at the keep. She doesn't believe it until she sees him, and then it is overwhelming for her, and she won't leave. Selena wakes up in her own bed, and she hears Arabin discussing retaliation in the hall outside her room. She wants to go, but finds that Arabin has locked her in her room, and she ends up escaping through the window. Selena breaks into Jane's house. She easily takes him down and his guards, and makes her way to Farron. At that point, a strange smoke enters the room. It paralyzes her, and she passes out. She knows someone at the keep betrayed her. Farron is going to turn Selena over to the king in exchange for his approval as the new crime lord. Selena is brought before the king and other officials for a private trial. She doesn't speak until he is ready to announce the sentence, and she asks him to make it quick. Instead, he decides to give her 9 life sentences at the salt mine of Vandovier instead of death. Arabin and his secret ally, Farron, are watching as Selena's wagon rolls away. They conspired together to kill Sam and Jane. Farron asks why Arabin did this to Selena, and he says because he doesn't like to share his belongings. Selena is worried because she knows Vandovier is a death camp. On the journey there, she spots a rare white stag, a symbol from her long-lost kingdom of Terrasen. This restores a little hope, and she is ready to face and conquer Endovier. And that is where we leave it.
Amanda's got that look in her eye. She's ready to say something.
I thought it was so anticlimactic. I
Yes.
don't know. I was just like, dudes, come on. I want more. Give me more. It was just like, build up, build up, build up. Oh, sorry, Selena, he died. And they
Yeah.
thought that he was still living at our place. I'm so sorry.
A third of this entire section was just her waiting for him to come home.
Or them arguing about why they're not doing it together.
That was it. Like, that was, like, at least a third of this entire section was
And
just that.
Again, I will say it again. There was so much buildup as to why she doesn't let people get close to her and all this because Sam died and why she doesn't trust people. And he was like the one person that she let in and actually saw a future with. And then I felt like this relationship was so,
Stale?
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just like,
What'd you think, Sky?
Out of this whole book, we knew this section was coming. This was the part that I was looking forward to because, you know, this is the big tie-in everywhere else in the series.
Right.
You know, Sam's death. She brings it up every freaking chance she gets. Boring.
It was. We didn't get to experience his death.
When she brings it up in, I believe it was A Crown of Midnight, when she's telling Kay all about Sam.
oh yeah.
And
like
she's
the full
like,
story. Yeah.
Right. She's like, you know, he was flayed open. My imagination shot to she sees Farron doing it,
Right.
Yeah.
not just the aftermath.
Yes.
And I think that would have left such a bigger impact on this whole section if she would have been like, you know what, Sam's been gone for way too long. I know Farron's probably at the
vault?
The vault.
Mm-hmm.
She breaks into the vault, breaks into that room, and Sam dies in her arms. Way better story than what we got.
yeah. Yeah, or even if she was out and went there and found him and he was already dead, but there, it would have still been more climactic than, oh, his body's been at the keep for a few hours on a slab in the back. Like,
He still kind of smells like Sam.
I'm disappointed. The only good thing to come out of this section was her jumping in through that window and freaking annihilating Jane, and she totally could have taken Farron out if she were a little bit quicker.
and this is definitely, it definitely shows, again, the lack of, I want to say, like, lack of assassin instincts or whatever, because, you know, you would have thought that she would have, you know, paid attention to that window a little more, maybe realized something a little bit better.
I will say, at this point in these books, if they mention her getting poisoned by Gloriella one more time, I'm going to be pissed.
Gosh.
This is what, the fourth
Yes.
time?
Well, technically, it's the first time.
Well, this one. This
Technically,
one's
yeah.
the first time, yes.
You'd think she'd be
But it
smarter than
happens
the other
in
books.
Throne of Glass.
Yes.
Mhm.
It happens... Did it happen in Crown of Midnight?
I don't remember. But it's happened multiple times.
She's
I
been
think
around
this is
it,
at
like-
least 3 or 4.
You would think. I mean, even if you're not a poisons expert, you would think if it happens once, you know not to let it happen again.
Just stop drinking the water. The Kool-Aid, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I don't. It was
It's
just,
Crown of Midnight. Don't they lace the water with like small amounts of Gloriella? So she's like in a sedative state
Oh.
when she's in the
when
dungeons.
she's in the dungeon.
Oh, yep,
Yeah.
you're right.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, but that time she was just like
down
she
Fuck
was
on
it,
doing
I
it
don't
on
want to deal with
purpose.
anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Still.
Yeah, I had such high hopes for this section, and I was so let down.
Well, and it, throughout the series so far, it's been assumed, and Selena assumes, and it's all been hypothesized that we're pretty sure Sam's death was had been made happen by Arabin, but it never was said outright. So, like, at this point in the original series, like the regular series, she still doesn't know 100%, though she has suspicions. I really wish that they wouldn't have said that in the Assassin's Blade to where we know for sure that he's behind it. I wish that it would have still just left it to where we're in the same page with her, where we assume so, but we don't know for sure. I would have liked to find out at the same time she finds out.
Well, I'm just thinking, like, anyone that reads it chronologically, you know at the end of the first book.
Yeah.
And then you're just going forward, and then she's like, well, yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty sure someone betrayed me, but I don't know definitely. But now, well, granted, like, we've gone 3 books without fully knowing and just being suspicious.
Yeah.
But
now we know, and she doesn't, and I don't like that.
Can you guys remind me? Do we know that Wesley's alive, or is he dead? Because I know when she finds out that Farron's dead, doesn't she find out that one of the other assassins is dead too? Do you remember, or am I making that up in my head?
I feel like you're right.
When?
That would have been Throne of Glass, I think.
I think it's the beginning. No.
We're out of order, so I don't remember.
She finds out in one of the books that
Someone killed him.
someone killed Farron.
Okay.
And I think
Did
we
you-
assume it was Wesley, right?
I think so.
Okay. Yeah. And Wesley's the one that tried to give her a warning
Yeah.
when Arabin locked her in her room and she left through the window. She ran into Wesley and he tried to warn her, and she like knocked him out.
This is why we don't act on rage.
And Wesley's Arabin's guard. It's his
Yeah.
right hand man or whatever.
It's his
Closest personnel.
it's like his Kaldadorian.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I always knew it was Arabin.
Well, yeah, like
You know, and it's like a gut feeling though.
but you don't know.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
that's what I wanted it to remain as. And now I'm like,
Yeah. And
well, now I know.
well, yeah, and like I wanted it to be this big like coming out of, hey, this is what I did, this is why I did this, and then she just like kills the guy or whatever. They have this big brawl, whatever the case.
Yeah.
But I wanted it to be like this big, like kind of similar to the whole Sam dying thing, like all this buildup of like, well, we don't know what happened or we don't know who it is. I wanted it to build and build and build, and then towards the end of the series, whether it's like the last book, second to last book, I don't care, but it comes out and it's this big thing. I wanted that jaw-dropping moment of like, oh shit,
We know for sure.
oh shit, yeah,
Yeah.
like we always thought it, but now it's like for sure he's admitting to it all. I wanted
Yeah.
that, and now it's like this side conversation on a rooftop where he's like, oh yeah, I just don't like sharing my belongings. It's like, fuck off, bro. Okay, come on.
I mean, even up until the end of this section, it could have been a number of people. It could have been the
Right.
king. It could have been Lysandra. I wanted to theorize that up until the end of this, when Arabin's standing on the roof, that maybe Sam was still alive. We've seen up to this point that it's
Or
not
do.
hard to...
Fake a death.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So maybe Sam was just playing her the whole time because he freaking hates her. But, I mean, at this point, we're pretty much guaranteed that Sam is actually dead and that Arabin is...
It's just hard for me because I, at this point, being 4 books deep, anything good that she has, I just expect her to lose it at some point. Like,
Yeah.
straight up. Like, whether it's a relationship, whether they die or not, I just expect her not to have anything good.
Like, you don't have any luck. Sorry.
Yeah. So
You
It's
roll
a-
ones everywhere in life.
it's hard for me to, like, attach to characters right now because it's like, you're either, like, not going to end up being friends or lovers, or you're going to fucking die. I don't know which one yet, but it's not going to end well for you. Maybe you should just turn around, go back down the hall. Don't talk to her.
Do you hear that? Amanda thinks Rowan's gonna die.
I said
I
that.
hate
There's
you.
a face.
I said that the last
No.
podcast, I think. No, I think I was talking about KL, which I really think
will-
that that's going to happen.
I will cry.
I'm just saying, dude.
Shut up.
She was talking to me, Amanda, not you.
Yeah, not you. No, you're good.
Tell me to shut up.
No. I
I
can.
just don't know. Like, it's hard for me to be an optimist in this story right now. I think that she's gonna eventually, overthrow the king, take her place, save her people. Sure. But I think it's gonna come at a massive cost to her personally.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know. Everyone I like right now is dead, so.
So,
They kill my favorite character halfway through the second book. So
But even that build up, we never even saw that death coming. But all that build up of her, like,
Yes.
rushing to go save him, to save Kale, and it being like, oh, do you know where she's at? Because we heard that someone might be trying to kill her. And then the rush back and all the anticipation just to find her dead. That was such a big moment.
that was
You
well
had your
done.
oh shit moment. Yeah.
yeah,
That one was well done.
and then,
Sam's was not.
and then the lead up into that with Archer.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know that whole book.
Yeah.
That whole section of that one book put this completely to bed.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't compare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted that big moment, especially because it affected her so much that, like, you said, she's bringing it up like every 5 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. And it just we don't get that, and I am so let down by this book in general because the other, aside from Throne of Glass, the other books were fantastic.
Phenomenal. Like, I couldn't put them down. And this
Exactly.
one, I was just like, it's like what you said at the beginning, reading it because we had to read it.
Yeah.
It took me 2 weeks to read this book.
Yeah.
When I read Air of Fire in what,
Like
3
2 days. Yeah.
Which is like almost like, what? Almost double the size of this book. Because this
Something
said,
like that.
yeah.
It's a shorter
pretty
book, for
close.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it might even be shorter than Throne of Glass, honestly, but
Maybe.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I did not like their relationship. I did not like the book. It's fine.
It's so sad because I wanted to like Sam so bad.
I know.
Because we get this huge lead up in every book up to this point, and then their relationship is not great.
Well, and honestly, I think that if we would have started from when she was 9 and saw that relationship build, even with time skips, I think I would have liked him a lot more, and I would have liked the relationship a lot more. But it was, like you said, it was so rushed, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, hey, we're in love, which she never says those words, by the way. Did you notice that?
Yes.
And so it's just like,
Jess is waiting to get her words in.
Oh, no. I'm just really disappointed with this as a prequel. Like, so far I'm loving the series so much, but then and to get to like such a point where we're like on a precipice of things going on, to then backtrack to this prequel that ends up being a letdown in my eyes. It sucks.
I'm
And-
honestly kind of pissed that we stopped the story for this.
I'm glad that we did. Like I'm I don't like to not read all parts of a series. Like I'm the person that watches all the filler. Like I want to get everything. I want to get all the canon, everything. But yeah, it was kind of frustrating.
That's great. I could have skipped this and it would have been totally fine.
I'm going to tell you exactly what I told Jess the other day. I'm glad we read this book here because if we read it before Throne of Glass,
You wouldn't have
I
continued.
wouldn't have continued this series.
That's fair.
Yes, absolutely.
That's what I was going to ask. Like, if we read this first, would we have continued to read? So that's good to know,
No.
because I don't think I would have either.
Nope. If anybody ever asks for a recommendation on what order to read this series in, it would definitely be this order.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to say don't read it, because I just wouldn't do that. But, yeah, read it after Heir of Fire. Read it after you're already sucked into the series so that you don't want to quit having read this one first.
You don't have to read this book, though. You know,
you don't have
that's
to.
the thing. It just doesn't really fit in anyway.
But
Even before Throne of Glass. I mean, yeah, it's a nice lead up into Throne of Glass, and you get to know the main character, but it's not necessary.
keep in mind we're only halfway through. We don't know what else is going to tie in that it might be pertinent to know this information.
Well, and I mean that's like
Because-
what I said with the assassin and the healer, though, right? I mean,
That's what I was going to say. Like, you're Irene that you love so much.
Yeah.
This could give you really good tie-ins to her building an army in the later books to go take down Aderlin. She gets the healers. She gets the silent assassins.
She blackmails Rolf.
Blackmails Rolf. Her friend from the silent assassins comes back and apologizes and joins her.
The slaves she let go.
Exactly. I mean, there's a lot of really pertinent information in there, but it's just not necessary.
That you know of yet.
Right.
Because, you know, in doing the research on when to read this book and what order to read these books in and deciding to go with this one, the big thing I heard was to read it before Queen of Shadows. If you're going to read it before Queen of Shadows. So I'm real curious what that then means for this next book we're going to go into.
We know in Queen of Shadows she's going after Erebin, though, because they say it at the end of Heir of Fire.
Oh, yeah, totally.
And by the way, hot take, I don't hate Erebin as much as I think I probably should.
I mean, he's
Why?
he's
Yeah, he's a bad guy.
he does his role in the way that he should as the character that he is.
But he's not written to the point where I'm just absolutely disgusted by him. The slave trade, yeah, it's gross. That's a whole nother conversation. He's part of this empire that allows it. That's how it's going to be. In the time period, the way he treats Selena and everything, it doesn't make me hate him, because I feel like there are worse people in this series.
I'm kind of with you there, honestly.
Can I say something I thought was funny, though? Because, you know, we talk about, like, the time period and, like, yeah, there's okay in this time, whatever. And then she's like, I got to go to the bank.
Yes.
I
You're
got
like,
to transfer some money to his account.
What is the time period? Yeah.
Here's my debit card.
I thought that was so funny. And I was like, oh, they have banks. That's so cute.
That did kind of make me
I think your interest rate's high? I don't know.
like go, what?
But yeah, I think for the character that he's playing, yeah, he's not.
He's definitely not the worst
Yeah.
person we have run across, or I'm sure will run across.
I know I dislike the king more than
Oh,
I dislike the King of Assassins.
I dislike the clan leaders of the Iron Teeth more than I dislike the King of Assassins.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just I understand why he's written the way he's written, but if she wants us to hate him, she needs to write him so much worse in this book, right?
I mean, that might not be the goal, is to hate him.
Those heartstrings, though. I feel like there's going to be, in the Queen of Shadows, because, you know, they're talking about how she's going to go after Erebin now. I think that there's going to be sections where things switch to his perspective from time to time. She's been known to do that. Because I think it's going to be one of those things to where, yeah, feel for the bad guy. So then you're like, you don't know how to feel. You're kind of more understanding as to why he is the way he is. We haven't had that with a king, though, yet, so maybe that won't happen. I don't know.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Those are my favorite kind of stories.
Ugh, not mine.
I was like, no, make me feel things for the person that I'm not supposed to like.
I don't know.
Make
It's
me
very
feel
Game of Thrones-esque, where you're like, you start the series and you hate Jaime Lannister, but by the end of the second season, you're like, he's my favorite character.
Well, let's not go that far, but
He's only at season 5. Let's just leave that at that right now.
I'd kiss that pretty face.
Well, that has nothing to do with his character.
I don't know. I just finished the first season of House of the Dragons, and the character that you're supposed to hate, I really hate. So
We haven't started it yet.
oh, I know you haven't even dabbled, but I'm just saying,
No.
like that's one. Their season 1. No, I hate the bad guy. Not a fan. There's no confliction with that one, so I don't know. But yeah, I've said this before. This series gives me very much Game of Thrones vibes.
I don't know.
Well, to be fair, Jess even called it Game of Thrones earlier.
Shut up. I don't know that I would even. I don't want to say that I would call Arabin a bad guy, quote unquote. You know, it's very like morally gray person. You know what I mean? Like in this book, I can hate Farron, but I don't hate Arabin. You know what I mean?
You don't know much about Farron, though.
True, but I mean just even by the actions, just within this book.
And Farron's a complete sadist, so it's kind of hard to like him.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
I'm not happy.
The book was what it was.
I'm super ready to get back into the main
Oh yeah.
course of the series and see where it takes us, because this was a tough one.
Well, heck yeah! Now we're getting back into the real part of it, and
So when are
we
we
get to
taking,
see more of Arabin.
when are we taking bets that Rowan's gonna die?
Oh, shut up!
All right, so this is the fun part. Let's rate it on a scale of 1 to 5. Jessica,
2.
Amanda,
I'd say 2. Go lower.
I
Come on.
am. I'm going 1.75. I
What did you rate it on Goodreads, Skyler?
I think I gave it a 2.
Oh, did you? Okay.
I
I thought you gave it a 3.
Oh gosh. No. I think I gave Throne a Glass a 3. No.
Yes, I gave it a 2.
Did you? Okay.
And it was really hard not to give it a 1 on Goodreads.
Yeah.
But it averages a 4.3 on Goodreads.
I know.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Huh. That's interesting.
It is
Yeah.
interesting.
It is. I don't.
What's wrong with us?
This is gonna be the episode everybody hates us for, isn't it? Assassin's Blade was so good. I didn't
No,
enjoy
not my
it.
vibe.
Not a fan.
There were 2 sections that stood out, and they weren't that.
Say, and
pertinent to
even
the
still,
story.
it was like the last 2 or 3 chapters of that
Exactly.
section. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I need to remember to start writing these down.
we're not gonna like
at the end of the
everything.
episodes.
You know,
That's true.
we're not gonna like everything, and that's fine. That just means we get to be excited to jump back into the series.
Oh, I'm
It's
going
done.
upstairs
Say
and laying
we're
down.
over it. Yes, it's all done. We can move forward.
I'm going
see how it
upstairs,
goes.
laying down, and starting Queen of Shadows tonight.
Starting Queen of Shadows.
Super excited to get back into
Oh, yeah.
what I hope to God is a good book.
Well, especially because Air Fire left on such a cliffhanger.
Ugh.
Like it
love
literally
that book.
was killing me just to go back and. I understand we had to do it. I get it. I get it.
We had to.
But it was such a struggle because I was like, I just want to know what happens.
Yes.
I just want to move on. Like, tell me. But no.
Yeah.
Well, and like I said, it makes sense after Air of Fire to jump back in and read Assassin's Blade. Because we know in Queen of Shadows, she's going after Erebin.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
going after
Need more of that background, yeah.
her,
Necklace.
yeah.
Yep.
We get the background, but
Maybe that's why they told us that he was the one that betrayed her. Because that is kind of like the whole preface of the next book.
Guess we'll see.
so yeah. Solid 2 from them, 1.75 for me, and
We're done with it.
Yeah.
we're done.
Put that behind us and get on with it.
I don't even know that one's gonna stay on the shelf. It
Oh,
might just end up
stop.
in the trash can.
No!
Sarah,
That's
he
taking
doesn't mean it.
too
I don't.
far.
Sarah Maas,
Sarah, if you're listening,
if you ever hear this,
it's not that we didn't like your writing. We just didn't like the story. The rest of the series is super good.
Save Throne of Glass was a little
Oh
iffy,
my
but-
goodness.
You can listen to the episodes and tell us if you agree.
Yeah, come on, do an interview. We'd love to talk to you about just the Assassin's Blade itself. Get your thoughts on that.
If you're not SJM, you can stop listening now.
All right, everybody, thank you so much for listening to A Court of Books and Booze. We were not drinking tonight. Amanda might be a little hungover.
Maybe we would have liked it more if we were drinking.
There you go.
I do have a Coors in front of me. I just didn't even crack it. So
We're kind of lame tonight. It's all right.
Slow drinks for a slow book.
yeah,
So we drink more when we get really hyped about the books.
it's because Nick isn't here to pressure us into drinking every 15 seconds or whatever he wants us to do.
He was really hungover today too, so it's all right.
All right, guys. Well, thank you very much. Like I said, this is A Court of Books and Booze. We are a weekly book club. And if you would like to check out any other of the Golden Mojo Entertainment network of podcasts, you can look up MurdNerds, Golden Image Podcast, The Call Guys, Indiana Chiefs Fans, and the United States of Paranormal. They're all on every form of social media and all that fun stuff. So go check them out. They deserve it. All very good shows.
Everywhere you find your podcasts.
Anything else you guys want to add before we hit that stop button? Nope. Okay.
Read with you later.